John Wick, Chapter 3, Parabellum opens in a rain-soaked Manhattan, immediately following the conclusion of John Wick, Chapter 2. John Wick, Keanu Reeves, once a feared and legendary hitman, is now a marked man. Having violated one of the cardinal rules of the criminal underworld by killing high-table member Santino D'Antonio within the New York City Continental Hotel Sacred Ground, where no business or violence is permitted, John is declared excommunicado. His life has a $14 million bounty attached, making him the target of every assassin around the globe. Cut off from all resources and safe havens, John has only an hour's grace period before the bounty becomes active, and a legion of killers comes after him. As the minutes tick down, John races through the streets of Manhattan, still reeling from the fight that left him bloodied and exhausted. His first stop is the New York Public Library, where he retrieves a hidden stash, a crucifix necklace, and a marker medallion, relics of his former life. However, John doesn't escape unscathed. An assassin attacks him, eager to claim the bounty even before it's officially active. Though John manages to kill his assailant, he suffers a deep wound in the fight, and the clock is still ticking. Realizing he needs urgent medical attention, John heads to a clandestine underground doctor who has ties to the assassin world. The doctor begins to patch him up, but just as the grace period ends, he is forced to stop, leaving John to finish stitching up his own wound. Now, with his injuries barely treated, John must continue his frantic quest for survival as more and more assassins begin to track his every move. In his desperation, John seeks out the director, Anjelica Huston, a mysterious woman from his past who runs a theater as a front for a vast criminal network. The director is revealed to be tied to John's origins. She trained him in the violent arts and served as a surrogate figure during his upbringing. Though she is initially reluctant to help, John presents her with the crucifix necklace, which serves as a ticket for safe passage. Bound by old debts, she reluctantly agrees to grant him passage out of the city, marking the end of their association. She brands John with the crucifix as a symbol of his severed ties and arranges for his transport to Casablanca, Morocco, where John hopes to find more assistance. While John is fleeing New York, the High Table sends the adjudicator, Asia K. Dillon, an official tasked with enforcing the table's rules and punishing those who defy its authority, to New York. The adjudicator meets with Winston, Ian McShane, the manager of the New York Continental, and the Bowery King, Lawrence Fishburne, a leader of a sprawling underground network of homeless assassins. The adjudicator reprimands both for aiding John in his unsanctioned killing of Santino D'Antonio. Winston is given 7 days to step down as manager of the Continental, and the Bowery King is threatened with severe consequences for his role in helping John escape. Despite the warnings, both men refuse to give up their power without a fight. Upon arriving in Casablanca, John seeks out Sophia, Halle Berry, an old friend and the manager of the Casablanca Continental. John holds a marker over Sophia, a blood oath she swore to him in the past, which now obligates her to help him. Though Sophia is reluctant to involve herself, knowing the High Table will come after her if she aids John, she cannot refuse the marker. She agrees to help him, taking him to meet Barada, Jerome Flynn, a powerful assassin and arms dealer who holds information John needs. Barada reveals to John that in order to reach the Elder, a high-ranking member of the High Table with the power to rescind the bounty, John must venture into the desert. Only by walking until he can no longer walk can he hope to be found by the Elder. However, Barada demands a price in exchange for this information. He wants one of Sophia's beloved Belgian Malinois dog. When Sophia refuses, Barada shoots one of the dogs. The dog survives thanks to its bulletproof vest, but Sophia is enraged and retaliates by shooting Barada. What follows is a chaotic, high-octane gunfight as John and Sophia fight their way out of Barada's stronghold. Together, they take down waves of heavily armed guards before escaping into the desert. After fulfilling her blood oath, Sophia leaves John to continue his quest alone. John wanders through the barren desert, trudging onward until he collapses from exhaustion. Just as he is on the brink of death, he is found by the Elder's men and brought to the Elder, said Tigmaui, a figure of immense authority within the world of assassins. The Elder listens as John explains his motivations. He wants to continue living not to kill, but to honor the memory of his wife, Helen, whom he loved dearly. The Elder agrees to lift the bounty on John's head, but only if John commits himself once again to the High Table service, this time for life. As a show of his loyalty, John is ordered to kill Winston, his old ally. To seal the pact, John severs his own ring finger and hands over his wedding ring, symbolizing the final severance of his connection to his past life. While John is bargaining for his survival, the Adjudicator continues their mission to punish those who helped John. They enlist the help of Zero Mark DeCascos, a master assassin who leads a team of highly trained killers. Zero and his students are sent after John's allies, first confronting the director, who is brutally punished for helping John escape New York. They then turn their attention to the Bowery King, who refuses to bow to the High Table. The Bowery King is savagely attacked, but despite his severe injuries, he survives, filled with a burning desire for revenge. Back in New York, John returns to the Continental, where Zero and his men continue to pursue him. Despite being a lethal adversary, Zero admires John, openly expressing his respect for him, but John remains uninterested in forming any bond with the assassin. John seeks refuge with Winston, who encourages him to defy the High Table and reclaim his life, rather than live as a mere tool for the organization. The Adjudicator arrives at the Continental, demanding that Winston step down and that John fulfill his commitment by killing Winston. When both men refuse, the Adjudicator deconsecrates the Continental, stripping it of its neutral ground status. This sets the stage for an all-out battle as two busloads of heavily armored High Table enforcers are dispatched to kill John and anyone who stands with him. John, alongside Winston and the hotel's loyal concierge Sharon, Lance Reddick, prepares for the onslaught. A brutal fight ensues, with the heavily armored enforcers overpowering the hotel's guards at first. However, John and Sharon eventually turn the tide of the battle, using armor-piercing rounds to take down the enforcers. Once the enforcers are defeated, John is confronted by Zero and his students. In a series of intense acrobatic fights, John kills Zero's students one by one. In the climactic duel, John faces off against Zero himself. Despite Zero's incredible skill, John proves to be the superior fighter, fatally wounding Zero and leaving him to die. The Adjudicator then requests a parley with Winston to negotiate a resolution. Winston presents the battle as a demonstration of strength and loyalty to the High Table, offering it as his penance for the previous transgressions. However, when John arrives at the negotiation, the Adjudicator perceives him as a lingering threat. In a shocking betrayal, Winston shoots John multiple times, causing him to fall from the roof of the Continental. The Adjudicator acknowledges Winston's actions as proof of his loyalty, allowing the Continental to be reconsecrated and for Winston to remain in control. However, as the Adjudicator leaves, they reveal to Winston that John's body has disappeared. John is not dead, and his survival poses a continued threat to both Winston and the High Table. The final scene reveals that John has been found by the Bowery King, who, despite his injuries, is filled with rage and ready to start a war against the High Table. The Bowery King asks John if he feels the same anger and desire for revenge, to which John, with a look of determination in his eyes, responds with a resolute "yeah." Together, they prepare to challenge the might of the High Table, setting the stage for the next chapter in John Wick's violent saga.